Problem set 1.3, some examples to get you started on this homework. I'm on page 29, and I'm going to look down at 29 to 40, because if you can do those, you can do all the ones previous to that. So I'm going to put down number 30, 9,054. Alright, so there's 9,054, and the instruction says round each of the numbers to the nearest thousand. So, thousand's position is right there. If I'm rounding to the nearest thousand, I'm going to look to the right. If that number is less than 5, I do nothing to the 9. And if you remember, everything goes to 0 to the right of the 9. Alright, well, let's look at number 38. 608,433. And again, the instructions say round to the nearest thousand. There is my thousands again. This number here is less than 5, so my 8 stays the same, and everything to the right of my 8 turns into a 0. And that's all there is to that. So not much help needed with rounding. Not too bad at all. And that brings us to the idea of estimating on page number 30. So let's try a couple there. Let's start out with number 50. They give us 1891, 765, and we're adding 3,223. Now, if you remember, when it comes to estimating, that we are rounding each number prior to adding, because we're not trying to get an exact number, we're just trying to get an estimate. In number 50, if you look at the top, the first word is thousand, so that's telling you what place value you're estimating to, so, or rounding to. So here's my my thousands here, my thousands here, and my thousands here, although there's no number sitting there. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to look and round this. So I've got a 1, I look over here, that number is 5 or greater, so that 1 is going to change to a 2, and then everything is zeros after it. 765, I got a 0 there. My number to the right is a 7, which is 5 or greater, so this number is going to change from a 0 to a 1, because that's the next number, and everything else is zeros. My 3,223, this is the number to the right of my 3. It's less than 5, so this 3 remains the same, and I get 3,000. Now we're just going to add these up. 3, 4, 5, 6, and my answer is 6,000 when I'm doing some rounding. And that's it for that section from 49 to 60. Jumping up to 61, going all the way to 68, they've got that we spent just a real brief amount of time on the graphing. If you look at let's look at 62. Business expenses. The pie chart shows 1 year's worth of expenses for a small business. Use the chart to answer the following questions. Well, let's look at A. To the nearest $100, how much was spent on postage and supplies? Well, you look down there at postage and supplies. And we've got $11,456 that we spent on supplies, and $37.92 on postage. So what we're supposed to do is, to the nearest $100, how much was spent on postage and supplies. They didn't tell us to estimate, so what we're going to do is we're going to add. 6 and 2 gives me my 8, and that gives me 14, carry the 1, 12, carry the 1 again, 5, 1. So $15,248 is exactly how much I spent on postage and supplies. And now it says to the nearest $100. Well, that 2 is in my $100 position. So if I'm putting this in the nearest $100, I need to look to the right and see if that number is 5 or greater, and it is not. So this 2 does not change because this number here was not 5 or greater. And then again, everything to the right of that 2 goes to zeros, and you're done. So make sure you add the numbers first and then round. It's not asking you to find an estimate. So you're going to do the math first and then round, rather than round first and then add, because that would be estimating. Okay, if you look on page 32, there's some examples, 63 to 66, having to do with a car, a race car, a particular race in the 1993 Winter Nationals. If you look to the right there, there's the speed of a race car in time in seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then on the left-hand side going up is the speed in miles per hour. Starts at 0 and goes up to 250. So you look at 63 to 66. Let's look at 64. After 4 seconds, well, you count over 4 to where the 4-second bar is. Is the speed of the race car closer to 150 or closer to 190? Well, you follow that bar up and it's getting really, really close there to 200, but it looks to me like it's a lot closer even to 200 than it is 150. So it seems like it would be really close to that 190 mile an hour. So this is just visually a way for you to just look at a chart or look at a graph and be able to get information quickly and easily from that. So I will let you go with that. And that is it for problem set 1.3 examples.